This story is fictional. It's based on real events, but everything beyond the known facts is speculation. Our goal is to explore an alternate timeline, not to rewrite history, but to imagine what might have been.
On July 2, 2026, two fired members of the National Credit Union Administration walked back into the fight. Todd Harper and Tanya Otsuka had been dismissed by President Trump, and the Supreme Court had just handed the White House a sweeping new tool, the power to fire the heads of independent federal agencies. But Harper and Otsuka weren't ready to accept that ruling as the final word. They pointed to something the court itself had left unresolved: the Federal Reserve. The justices had signaled in careful, guarded language that the Fed might be different, might deserve special protection. The word might was doing a lot of work, and the markets were paying close attention to every syllable. The Federal Reserve had operated independently since 1913. That independence wasn't just a legal arrangement. It was the foundation of the global financial order. When central banks held dollars, when governments denominated their debt in dollars, when international trade settled in dollars, all of it rested on one assumption: that no American president could call the Fed chair on a Tuesday morning and tell them to cut rates or face termination. That assumption had never been tested at the Supreme Court level. Until now. But what if the court did not carve out an exception for the Fed? What if the next ruling, the one that Harper and Otsuka's fight forced onto the docket, came down on the side of unlimited presidential removal power, no exceptions, no carve-outs, the Federal Reserve included? In this alternate timeline, the court rules 6-3. Presidential firing power is absolute. Independent agencies are, by constitutional definition, not truly independent. The majority opinion is 47 pages long and lands on a Friday afternoon in September. By Monday morning, Trump has fired the Fed chair. The announcement hits the bond market before the opening bell. Treasury yields spike 2 full percentage points in 90 minutes. Every mortgage in America just got more expensive. Every corporation with floating rate debt just got squeezed. The dollar index drops 8% against a basket of major currencies before the New York Stock Exchange even opens. London has already been trading for hours. The word spreading through trading floors from Frankfurt to Tokyo is the same: unprecedented. The new Fed chair is confirmed by the Senate in a 48-hour emergency session pushed through on a party line vote. He has a background in real estate development and has publicly called interest rates a weapon against growth. His first act is to call an emergency board meeting. His second is to announce a 3 percentage point rate cut. The market, which had briefly stabilized on the hope that someone would pump the brakes, goes into free fall. Within 3 weeks, inflation expectations, already elevated from years of supply chain turbulence, detach from reality. Commodity prices surge. Gasoline hits $9 a gallon in some markets. Grocery chains begin rationing cooking oil and flour. The Consumer Price Index registers its largest single-month jump since records began. The word hyperinflation appears in the Wall Street Journal not as a historical reference, but as a current projection. Congress moves to pass emergency legislation restoring the Fed's statutory independence. The bill clears the House by a wide margin and gets through 60 Senate votes on the first procedural motion. Trump vetoes it on a Thursday evening. The override attempt falls 3 votes short. 3 senators from competitive states, calculating their futures, blink at the last moment, and the bill dies. Foreign central banks have been meeting in emergency session for 2 weeks by this point. The Bank of Japan, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of England issue a rare joint statement expressing deep concern about the stability of dollar-denominated assets. In diplomatic language, that is a 5-alarm warning. In plain language, it means they are quietly beginning to move reserves. Regional American banks feel it first. Their balance sheets are loaded with treasury bonds now worth less than the price paid for them, And once depositors understand that, the logic is simple and devastating. Get your money out before the bank can't give it back. Lines form in Phoenix, in Columbus, in Baton Rouge. The FDIC activates emergency protocols. It was designed to handle individual bank failures, not a systemic run. The math does not work. The new Fed board overcorrects in November. Panicked by the inflationary spiral, the political appointees reverse course and raise rates by 5 percentage points in a single meeting. The kind of move a first-year economics student would recognize as catastrophic overreach. A deflationary collapse lands on top of an inflationary catastrophe. Credit markets freeze. Business lending stops. Layoffs begin in waves, first in finance, then retail, then manufacturing. By the end of the year, unemployment crosses 18%. The dollar has lost 40% of its value against the euro. An emergency G7 summit produces a communiqué full of concern and empty of solutions. The IMF, for the first time in its history, is asked to coordinate a stabilization package for the United States, the country that founded it. The reserve currency status of the dollar, built across 8 decades and 2 world wars and the architecture of the entire post-war order, does not end in a single dramatic moment. It ends in a series of quiet bilateral agreements. Countries stop settling trade in dollars and start settling in something else. The notices go out by bureaucratic memo. No declaration, no ceremony. Just a shift in accounting, column by column, until the column marked USD is no longer the largest one. The United States enters a depression with no independent monetary authority left to respond, no institutional credibility left to borrow against, and no easy road back to either.
In this world, history went one way. But here, we ask what could have happened. If you want more alternate timelines and government what-ifs, subscribe, comment your theory, and stay tuned. This is State of What If.